This meeting of the board is now in session. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So welcome everyone to our meeting this evening, and we'll get started by approving our agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda as printed?
Not any changes to the agenda. I'd just like you to consider switching a couple items around. There's a discussion item that should be pretty quick about a trip to, proposed trip to overseas, to Europe area from the high school. If we could add that as one of our superintendent's report items and have that discussion there, that'd be appreciated, I'm sure.
Sounds okay. Anyone have a problem with that? Okay. Can we have a motion, please, to approve our agenda as amended?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agenda as amended versus recommended.
Thank you, Kurt. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes, and we'll go to our superintendent's report, please.
Great. Our first report is the bond project update. So Johnny Edwards is here to give you that.
Thank you, Superintendent Beelang and members of the Board of Education. Not much has changed since our last board meeting due to spring break, but I am happy to announce that the central softball dugouts, that project is now complete. The team has access to the field. They have been practicing. The team's first home game was rained out last week, but the JV softball team will host Vicksburg tomorrow at 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock. So the field is ready to go. There's a little small minor patch areas that they'll do related to some other areas, but the playing surfaces and the dugouts are fully accessible to the teams. And then for our 2021 bond, since our last meeting, we've met with the Haverhill Building Advisory Team. That was the second meeting we held with them to talk more about the schematic design. At our next board meeting, we hope to do more board education to talk about the engagement report that our architectural firm is working on, and we've seen a draft of that. We also want to educate the board about the design process and then share the work timeline of things that will happen over the next 12 months. And then later tonight, I'll come back to talk about our owner's rep as well as our surveyor services. So that concludes my report tonight. Are there any questions from the board?
Just a comment. I happened to see several teachers from Haverhill, and they participated in the advisory meeting there.
Okay.
And they were all thumbs up on it. Really enjoyed the meetings, the subject, and the fact that they could provide input into the design of that building. They were all thumbs up, Johnny.
Oh, great. Well, we're glad to hear that. That's an important vehicle for us to get communication and feedback from the staff and those who will be using the building. And I believe that Tower Pinkster and Fielding International has done an excellent job engaging all of us from the classroom level up through administration for getting feedback for the building. So we'll be getting more feedback from them as well in the times to come.
Mentioned we'll have more information at the May board meeting at the work session, and with the idea that the second meeting of the month or maybe at our retreat, talk about where are the points where the board wants to be involved in making any decisions. I know we did that during the 2015 bond. There were certain places the board wanted to take action, and so as we present that information, it's with an eye towards a later discussion about are there some touch points where the board wants to engage with the process to either make the final decision or validate what the work that we've done.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Dr. Pasco, we moved up the discussion item here, so
Thank you.
set to go.
Okay. Good evening, Superintendent Beelang, trustees. It's been a while since we've had to report anything around Policy 2340, and that's for your approval for any out-of-country trips. But we're excited to have Lucas Rewa here today. He's a Northern High School social studies teacher, plans to take a group in summer 2023 to UK, France, Belgium, and Germany. So without further ado, Lucas, you want to come up and provide some more details for the board for discussion?
Thank you very much for giving us the time. This is my 10th year teaching in Portage. This is the first time the Social Studies Department has trying to get one of these trips going. I know at Northern, our art department has taken a couple different trips, I believe Italy and Japan. They're doing Japan again this year. Foreign language has gone several different places, Spain, different spots in Central and South America. And we felt it's time for social studies to get on board with that and go see some of these historical sites. So we started planning this out pre-COVID, and then obviously that happened and put a rein to our parade, so to say. So what we have, we've got the trip planned with a company called World Strides, which comes very highly recommended. They cover pretty much everything. The students pay a fee up front, their families pay the fee up front, and that's pretty much all they'll have to take care of. Tipping is included in that. There's trip insurance, flights, hotels, meals, pretty much everything is covered there. We're going to be, it's a World Wars trip, so it's mainly based on World War II, but there is going to be some stuff that relates to the First World War as well. So we'll be flying in to London, seeing some museums and things, and the landmarks, Big Ben, Houses of Parliament, all of that. And then we'll be taking a ferry across the English Channel to the Normandy beaches, going to different sites and memorials, the American cemetery over there, for example. Then we'll be traveling to Belgium, so the Bastogne region, so like some Battle of the Bulge sort of stuff. Then we're going to be traveling by rail into Germany, northern Germany, and then going down to Munich, southern Germany, with the last 2 days of the trip being the Dachau concentration camp, and then an alpine hike to Hitler's summer house, which they've converted into like a restaurant and tea house. So after that, it's a 10-day long trip. Then we'll be returning to the States, where we plan on flying out of GR, so should make accommodations a little bit more reasonable. We won't have to leg it to Detroit or Chicago in order to fly out. So does anybody have any questions about the trip? I have plenty of extra we could go into if needed.
What's the interest level in the trip so far?
From the initial surveys that we sent out, just each of the teachers, like we originally were advertising, like gauging interest with our sophomores and juniors, and it's like 47, 48, I believe, said that knowing full well the cost of the trip, that's how many said that they wanted to do it. I don't think we'll actually get that many, but it's promising seeing that high of a number.
Is there a capacity?
Nope, they can accommodate as many as we have. The number, I believe on the form, we said somewhere between 6, because you need 6 to launch the trip, but a full bus load is 40. So I just anticipated we'd be close to that, hopefully, but they can get additional buses as needed. And if we hit 30, by, I believe, the end of June, if we have 30 sign up by then they will upgrade our trip to a private trip, and we won't have to share our bus with any other travelers from other schools.
Will there be any opportunity for scholarships?
There are scholarships. I'm not sure about that. There is financial assistance available if qualified. Each student has it's similar to like a GoFundMe page created for them that they can share, especially because this is something that is going to take place as soon as school ends. We've got one flex day for weather for if we need to go extra for snow days, but I know with graduations, that'd be a great graduation gift. If it were me graduating, I would love to have had somebody contribute to my trip. So that's available. There are some discounts that are time-based too. So if approved, I'm not sure what the deadlines for those are, but the sooner students sign up, the more money off they have. And there's also monthly payment plans available to help spread that cost out.
How much is it?
Right now, I think its current fee, it's around $5,200, but that includes flights to and from, all of the travel, while we're there, all of the buses. A certain portion of money for tipping. The hotels are 3- and 4-star hotels that are centrally located in the cities we're going to, instead of other travel companies, which would be located further outside of the attractions, where you're looking at a 45-minute to an hour-and-a-half bus ride in to see the attractions. We're going to be spending more of our time engaging with the historical sources and going through the guided tours and things like that, more learning opportunities. And on the topic of learning opportunities, there is World Strides offers an online course. After we return home from the trip, the students will be able to engage in it's not that many different things they would have to do from the way I understand it, but some different online coursework options, and that will get them 3 credit hours of college credit. That's included with the price of the trip, which makes that high price tag definitely easier to swallow for a lot of families.
Not a question, but the whole thing sounds fascinating.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited for it, and there's a lot of excitement in the building, definitely, as well.
So how many chaperones do you need?
Well, we already are at the point where a sizable portion of the department wants to go on the trip, and spouses of the staff members as well. So as the organizer of the trip, I am entertaining offers from my staff members. So, like, you gotta sweeten the pot a little bit. Like, you gonna carry my bag for me onto the plane, or? So, yeah, but we're having it's a 6-to-1 ratio. So every 6 students that signs up pays for another staff member, chaperone. Other adults can join the trip. I believe one parent had at least one that I heard, like, that I was contacted by, but I've heard through the grapevine, a couple other parents are wanting to go along as well. And there's a fee to upgrade because the parents are going to be, or the other adults are probably sharing a room with maybe one other person, whereas the students are going to be probably 4 to a room, and like 2 king size bedrooms.
Thanks for putting this together.
That's great. Yeah.
I'm jealous my
You know,
kids are both being
Well,
graduated.
Luke would have been able to go.
I know.
Had we been on the original timeline.
And I know he would have wanted to go, so it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And that type of history fascinates me, so these kids are going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it.
Right. On the back end of the pandemic, we're approving trips again. This is a cool milestone.
Excellent. And also, I've asked the company, my representative, about like the current geopolitical climate over there dealing with Russia, Ukraine, and none of the current trips have been impacted by what's going on at all. And you got to believe that a year and a half down the road that this will be in the rearview mirror. So it's looking like, as long as something doesn't go crazy with COVID, we should be okay, I think, for travel.
It sounds great, and I've said this to the language teachers before, but I'll say it to you. These trips sometimes change kids' lives, and they actually point them on a trajectory for a career that maybe they hadn't even thought of. So thank you for doing that and providing
You're
that
very welcome.
opportunity for them.
Thank you all for giving us the opportunity to teach and go to school in a district where this is a possibility. So that's great. Any other questions?
Thanks, Lucas.
Very good, Lucas.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here.
Before we move into the board education thing, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank our parents, in particular, those parents who use our school's transportation to get back and forth to school. We've had a lot of interruptions this spring with shortage of drivers, illnesses within driving, the driving ranks, and we've tried to keep our bus routes balanced as much as possible. We do have some routes that we can't eliminate just, or close down because of some transportation requirements, but we're trying to balance that out. Today, we didn't have to cancel any routes. It's been, first time in a few weeks anyway, but hopefully things will continue to get better. I know Jody is training some drivers as frequently as she can get them on board, but that still doesn't prevent people from getting sick and others in the department driving. So in addition to thanking our parents for their patience and understanding, also our transportation staff who are really stepping up into roles that they don't normally have. Our mechanics are driving, our office staff, folks are driving. So it's been an all-out effort to try to keep our our buses on the roads as much as we can. So hopefully that, and I know it's going to be a challenge this spring too with all the trips that we have for athletics and extracurriculars. So we're going to, I know, continue to ask parents to help transport, but we'll do the best we can with what we have. And it's not like we can contract with other groups to that extent, because they're having the same challenges with filling their driving positions. So there's not an easy remedy for what we face. But Jody and her staff are doing the best they can. But I just wanted to extend my thanks to those that are having to juggle their schedules around to make it work. And that's it on the report part, Andy.
Thank you, sir, very much. And we'll move forward with board education.
All right, we're happy to talk about a new partnership that we've created with the YMCA of Greater Kalamazoo. And Kelly Jensenius is here to lead that discussion and introduce you to who's here from the Y.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Beelang and trustees. Tonight, the YMCA of Greater Kalamazoo and I are here to share with you some exciting news about a new partnership between Portage Public Schools and the YMCA. This partnership is going to allow Portage Public Schools to focus on our core mission of providing high-quality education, while the YMCA can provide our students that before-school and after-school quality programming that they are afforded. I'd like to take a moment, though, just to kind of go back through the evolution of Curious Kids, and knowing that the program continues to change with the needs of our communities. So Curious Kids started back in our district as a single classroom site for adult education back in 1985. So that's how it originally kind of became to be. And today, Curious Kids provides a wide variety of childcare, starting with infants and toddlers to several different preschool options, as well as our school-age before and after-school programming. And so as I provided in your packet, a little graphic so that you could start to see that our Millam site alone houses up to 8 different programs, including before and after-school programming for our Haverhill and Central L students. And then the rest of our before-school and after-school run out of 6 different sites in our buildings. So what is exciting is this new chapter is that, we're going to have some change, and change is difficult, but it'll be exciting because we are certain that the strong partnership alongside the Y will allow us to continue to grow into those next 35 years, and allow us to continue to support our core mission of education. And with that, what I'd like to do is have Dave Morgan, the CEO, and his team say a few words about the partnership as well, and then we can ask and answer some questions for you guys.
Thanks, Superintendent and trustees. I appreciate the opportunity to come on. Probably the least important person of the Y team that's actually here, because Corey and Jim have been working on this partnership with your team for quite some time. I want to just say how excited we are about this partnership. I think that we have had a long history of providing before and after school care in Kalamazoo County, and to extend our reach and partner with the school district. We're just really excited about that opportunity. And so I know that my staff are here. If there's any questions or anything we can answer for you, we're happy to do that. But just more than anything, we're very excited.
Any questions we could answer for you tonight?
Could you talk a little bit about the Y's history with before and after school programs? I'm not familiar with it at all.
I'm going to actually ask Corey to come on up a little bit. And Corey's our after-school specialist. And we've obviously, well, Jim, how long have you been?
We don't need to go there.
So Jim has been with us for many years, running our part of our after-school program, as elevated to our Vice President of Youth Development and Operations. Corey is our school-age director now. I'm going to let him talk a little bit about the program and what he's been doing, and I think why we believe this partnership really works well, because I think in many cases it'll be very seamless. There are going to be transitions for parents to get used to and things like that. It is a different organization, but in many ways I know there's a lot of conversation going back and forth, visiting sites, and a lot of commonalities already in the program. So I'll let Corey talk a little bit on this stuff.
Yeah, so our main focus with our before and after school program is going to be healthy lifestyle and physical activity. So while the bulk of the school day in Portage Public Schools are going to handle that education side, we're going to try to help meet the other need of the kids for, a whole child experience throughout their day. Morning time and afternoon time are both. Lots of physical activity are included, including some free play and some structured play. Every afternoon, we will serve a healthy snack option. That'll be always a fresh fruit or vegetable paired with whole grain, meat, dairy, something along those lines. We will offer some homework and quiet reading time, and it'll be more of like a group setting versus a one-on-one tutor type activity. But again, the kids will have their choice. They will get to choose whether they're going to work on their homework, work on a book. So we feel that's important, as well as giving students their choice in some activities. We will also offer STEAM projects periodically. We've partnered with other organizations before to bring in nutrition curriculums, and we're always looking to build on other community relations. So this is obviously a big one we're very, very excited for, and to see what other resources we can bring in for the students.
Great. Yeah, it's not a question, but, I mean, Mark, when you sent the email out letting us know, I mean, my reaction was, it's kind of jaw-dropping. I mean, this is, sounds like a really good partnership, relationship, so really looking forward to this.
Kelly, can you talk about how you and Corey and staff are transitioning staff that we have here to the Y program?
Yeah, so Corey and I have been working together to talk about their current structure and how it operates, and then our current structure. So our current employees will all have an opportunity to be able to work alongside if they would like to transition over to the YMCA. They'll be working with Corey on that piece. And so if you have a current childcare already working at Amberley, then we would like them to seamlessly just stay right there with their students. Multi-site directors, we're looking at that piece. We have multi-site directors, so they would look into multi-site directing through that program as well. One of the things we found is, while Corey doesn't have multi-site directors at the Kalamazoo sites, that was something that they're looking at adding in. And so both programs, as they're developing it into one program, what are the great things that we've already been doing that they can add there, or what can we add to the Portage? But yeah, our employees all have that opportunity to move on over into the Y programming if they choose to do so. And they get a YMCA membership, which is pretty cool too. So.
I think we're hoping to take as much from Portage as from ourselves. I mean, as we look at the transition, there are some things we've learned from the program here that I think will do us well. And we've also, as was being said, we've already started transitioning. So we don't have currently two, what we would call site supervisors or whatever. We have one, so Corey's been doing that. We've hired a new behavioralist. So we've been really, a lot of the things that we were already making many of these transitions already. So it actually, the timing of this really couldn't have been much better for us as an organization as well. Since I've been here, I've been in this community for 4 years. So one of my focus points has always been expanding our child care programs, our early education programs, all that. That's really been one of my key areas of emphasis within my staff. And our department has expanded tremendously since and in the past 4 years. We hope to expand even further, as we're looking at many other partnerships right now.
Is it, and clarify this for me, the actual sites will still be in our Portage buildings?
Yes, thank you. Yes, they will continue to be there. The only one that will change is the Millam for the Haverhill and Central L students. They won't be going to the Millam site. We'll pick one of the sites. We'll work together to determine a better site for them to go to.
So transportation will be involved?
Yeah, potentially. We may have them at the Haverhill site. If we have 40 students there and we want to keep them there, then they're not transferred over to a different building. So we'll be working on that one together.
What are the procedural changes will parents notice from what they're used to right now?
We do registration quite a bit differently. It's all done online by the parents through our website. And we're going to have several meetings between now and when families have to actually decide to sign up for our program, to walk them through some of those processes and get them familiar and let them know what all is involved with that. The other thing is our price structure is quite a bit different from how Curious Kids have been doing it. We feel our structure does provide us the best opportunity to keep staffing consistent and ratios consistent. So there will be some families who benefit from ours and some who maybe have to adjust a little more than others. But I think those two pieces will be some of the bigger ones that families will see.
Safety-wise, procedurally, we've noticed we're pretty much doing the exact same thing with checking in, calling kids out, making sure that they're walked down. So all of those seem very much the same that we've been running through. Licensing, same type of licensing. So pretty consistent there.
I also want to address the staffing thing a little bit too, because as we've talked about our staff, as we took this next step, we had to wait till we got to a certain point in this relationship a little bit and got far enough along. But our hope is to pull in the leadership from the school age program into a lot of these decision makings as we start looking at new staff structures and things like that, because there's a great deal of educational or institutional knowledge we don't want to lose sight of. And so we really, that's kind of our next transition. Corey's already been meeting with staff and having some group meetings. Now it's even some individual stuff and building on that relationship and making sure we take advantage of some great staff that have been working in this district for a long time.
Absolutely.
My three boys all spent a lot of years at the Y preschool in the 80s, right?
I know.
You know my boys. They were all Woods Lake kids to begin with,
Okay.
before they became England Road kids. And so when my wife worked at the Y, running Corporate Olympics in the 80s, and that was all part of the event stuff. And you guys have done a great job for decades that I'm aware of. So I'm happy to see that we're being involved with each other.
I said the same thing to Jim. I served on the Y board for 7 years. So, and that was a long time ago. I'm going to say it was between 15 and 20 years ago since I've been off the board at the Y, and you were there then. So I'm glad you're still there to work with us, and I'm looking forward to this too. I think it's a great partnership.
And you didn't mention it, but this does not affect Tammy's
Correct. Yep.
employment with the district at all. It kind of helps narrow the focus that we're expecting of her to, the educational programs and then currently the infant and toddler care programs.
All right. Well, thank you. We'll keep
Thank
you
you.
informed, and we're looking forward to this.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Oh,
for
good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kelly, and I know Kelly's got to run. She's
I
got something to
do.
attend to, so appreciate that. That's it for that part.
Okay, we'll move to our comments and communications section. Are there any individuals who wish to address the board this evening? I guess there are, so we'll have our secretary, Celeste Shelton Harris, read our guidelines for public comment, please.
Okay. Thank you. The board welcomes community input at our board meetings and recognizes the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. To permit fair and orderly public expression, please conform to these guidelines when addressing the board. Attendees must register their intention to speak during the public participation portion of the meeting by completing the speaker registration form at the beginning of the meeting. Individuals may not register others to speak. Speakers will be recognized by the presiding officer and may not be called in the order in which they have signed up to speak. Speakers are requested to state their name, address, and group affiliation if available or applicable. Limit comments to 3 minutes. Direct all comments to the board and not to staff or to other participants. Speakers may not yield any of their speaking time to others. Provide a written copy of your comments and supporting documentation to the board secretary if available. Present your comments in a respectful and professional manner to model the behavior expected of Portage students. Refrain from mentioning any student by name. Contact the superintendent directly regarding personnel matters. Board of Education meetings are held for the purpose of conducting the business of the school district and are not considered to be community meetings. Board members are not obligated to respond to issues raised during public comment. Normally, such issues are referred to or followed up by our administrators. Thank you, Celeste. We have 2 speakers tonight, and we welcome the first one, Sherry Weber.
Good evening, Superintendent and trustees. I am thankful to be here. My name is Sherry Weber. I'm honored to be the mom of 2 young Black women who both attend Kalamazoo Central High School. So why am I at a Portage School Board meeting? Last week at a KPS School Board meeting, I reminded the superintendent and trustees there that doing anti-racist work in order to advance equity and true inclusion requires taking personal responsibility for raising your awareness, learning, and moving to action. And as I reflected on that statement, I think it's also important to call out that we as a community need to take collective responsibility for anti-racist actions, because all of our children's worlds don't stop at the school building that they attend. My oldest daughter attends CAMSI half the day with kids from all over the county, including Portage kids. She plays in symphonic strings with Portage kids. My youngest daughter plays sports and regularly competes against kids from Portage. And when they get to be teenager, their worlds just keep expanding more and more. All of our children are growing up in a society that's going to be increasingly diverse and different with every generation. Millennials are far more diverse than us Gen Xers were. And my Gen Z daughters are also much more diverse and different than the millennial generation. So we need to, as a community, help our kids not only understand this, but to celebrate it much earlier in their lives. School is a key component of making that happen. So I'm asking you and all of the places and spaces where my children spend so much of their time, including KPS, including CAMSI, including the spaces they share with the kids from Portage School, to take a collective perspective about how you can help make your school and the broader community more anti-racist so that all of our children feel seen and valued. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Appreciate your comments. Our next speaker is Regina Nelson. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Dr. Regina Nelson. I'm a professor in education at Western Michigan University, and I supervise teacher candidates in Portage Public Schools. I also attend the Unitarian Universalist Community Church in Portage. I'm here to say thank you to the board and all those employed in the district for their work for greater equity, inclusion, and anti-racism in the Portage Public Schools. Portage Public Schools has a long-standing partnership with Western Michigan University to prepare highly qualified teachers to work with children from diverse backgrounds. I stand here with the support of many Portage parents, students, educators, and community members who are working hard on addressing equity issues in school discipline policies and curriculum implementation. They have experienced and/or witnessed the harmful effects of lessons that role-play slavery in elementary school and disproportionate disciplinary consequences for children of color. This is not acceptable. We are grateful that you all have demonstrated a commitment to changing these harmful practices by inviting parents to participate in the Curriculum Instruction Council, hiring a DEI coordinator, and providing support for 3 Portage teachers to participate in the Western Michigan University KRESA racial equity cohort to become in-house trainers for their colleagues. We are dedicated to making Portage Public Schools a place where all children feel safe. To do so, we need a commitment from you to support our efforts to implement changes in practices and policies. We are pleased to see that you are gathering input in defining equity for Portage Public Schools in your value survey. We urge you to go deeper and complete a comprehensive equity audit that involves all stakeholders and implement an action and accountability plan to address the equity issues. We are happy to partner with you all in this important work. Thank you again for your time and your support.
Thank you very much. I think I was at a dinner with you at KRESA a couple of months ago. I think I was at a dinner with you at KRESA a couple of months ago. Didn't you get an award or something?
No, were you at the Golden Apple?
I don't know.
When Mark was
Oh, was it the Golden Apple?
Yes, that's where it was. Yep,
Okay.
yep. So
Well-
get another intersection with Western Michigan University.
Right. Well, it's nice to see you again. Thank you.
And thanks because she's at the department where I am doing some teaching, so it's good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. We'll move to board trustee comments. Anything from anyone?
Everything's
Everybody's just back from spring break, they don't know what to say.
Okay. Let's flip it to the consent agenda.
All right.
On page 6, we have several things to approve tonight. Number 1 is the minutes from the March 21, 2022 regular business meeting and policy updates that we discussed and were presented at our last meeting. Are there any exceptions to the consent agenda as presented? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. And we'll move to our first action item this evening, which is approved survey services. And is there a motion, please, on page 12?
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education approve 2 professional services agreements, one for Dreisinger and Associates for survey work at Haverhill Elementary and Amberley Elementary, amount of $27,145. The second for Preen or Prine and Newhoff for survey work at Central Elementary School for $20,500 for a total purchase cost of $47,645, which will come from the 2021 bond.
Thank you, Bo. Is there a second?
Second.
Very good, thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you for round 2 tonight. As the motion has already surfaced on the floor, this is a required work that must be done prior to construction. We're looking at Central and Haverhill as our first 2 schools that we're designing, and we chose Amberley as a potential third school for design work. What you'll find within this is we put out the RFP to 4 local engineering firms, 3 of which responded. As you can see in the total amounts, Dreisinger gave us the best quote for Haverhill and Amberley, and then Prine and Newhoff gave us the best quote for Central Elementary. We also feel comfortable with both firms based on their history, and we also believe that there could be some benefit to splitting the jobs up so that the work can start and get done much more quickly. And I'll be happy to answer any questions from the board. This will come from our 2021 bond fund.
They're letting
Thank
off the hook easy.
Yep, thank you. Again, this is just
So we're
standard.
splitting it basically, right?
We're splitting the
We're splitting it.
contract.
So Dreisiger's getting one and, I can't even read it. but
Yeah,
getting-
Prine and Newhoff. And Dreisinger will get Haverhill and Amberley,
Okay.
and Prine and Newhoff will get Central Elementary.
All right, thank you.
Glad to see the project moving along.
Yes,
Actually got to have a survey to get that going, so.
yes.
With that, all in favor of the surveyor services recommendation, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Our next action item is to approve our owner representation services, and there's a motion on page 14, please.
President Van Antwerp, I move that the Board of Education approve the contract with Plant Moran CRESA PMC as the district's owner's representative for a fixed fee of $1 million plus reimbursable expenses as outlined in the contract. The funds will be drawn from the 2021 bond fund.
Thank you, Terry. Is there a second? Thank you.
All right, thank you again. Plant Moran has been providing some guidance for us through our initial phase of the RFP process for the architect as well as the CM. And I explained to the board that we interviewed several firms about potential owner's rep services. So we recommended Plant Moran to the board at the February 21st meeting, and we entered into contract negotiations with them. We engaged our attorney, Kurt Harrell from Troon, and he provided us the assistance with reviewing the contractual language. As we negotiated those terms of conditions, The contract length is 44 months for this project. And the 44-month project would allow us to construct the first 3 elementary projects and then give us the ability to reevaluate whether or not we want to continue with those owner rep services beyond the 44-month. We negotiated a flat fee of $1 million. Typically, a owner's rep services fee will range on a percentage base between 1% and 2.5%. So that $1 million based off of a program budget of $89 million is approximately 1.1%. And if we were to expand this owner's rep services on a percentage fee, it could cost us as high as $1.75 million to $4.375 million. With this negotiation, obviously, those savings gives us the ability to do more for allocation of construction projects and budgets. I am happy tonight. You have seen him in the audience tonight, Mr. Ron Heron, who's our former Assistant Superintendent of Operations. He will be on the Plant Moran team, and his wealth of knowledge and familiarity with the district, as well as his expertise and experience with the 2015 bond project, we believe that Ron will be an invaluable asset to helping us guide through this project, as well as Mr. Doug Phillips, who you've already met for other things as well. And we also wanted to include and remind the board and the public about Plant Moran's, their reputation and their history in terms of being the leading owners rep in K-12 school districts here in the state of Michigan. So I would like to say that I'm happy that with the direction we're going, again, it's just one more checks and balance with the work that we're trying to get done for the 2021 bond projects. I'll be happy to answer any questions for the board.
So how hard was it to lure Ron out of retirement?
How hard was it? I think we had to take him to lunch to convince.
A little encouragement from his wife, too. Get him out of the house.
Oh, I get it.
Absolutely. So again, Ron's schedule will not be that of what an assistant superintendent of operations would. This would be his primary focus, and obviously his time will determine based on our needs. But we're excited to have Ron with us.
Yeah. I mean, best of both worlds. I mean, expertise from outside, and Ron, who knows us very well and has just gone through all this. So
Absolutely.
really nice.
Yeah, you know, Ron was instrumental in making sure that we formulated our initial guiding principles, and those served us so well, and, you know, he understands the importance of those and how that translates into decisions that are made out in the field when you're building buildings and making decisions about, you know, well, the thousands of decisions that we'll have to make in the upcoming, years. So you're right, it's a win-win situation for us to be able to pull him back into the projects and keep him out in the field as much as possible, so. Not that we don't welcome into the building, but a lot of his work will be out in the field, working with our various folks out there.
That's just a great package all the way around. We've got a good firm here. The economics are very good, and we're lucky that Ron wanted to come back and didn't want to stay away because he knows how we roll. So that ought to be a good program all the way around. Okay, I think we should approve this. All in favor of approving the owner representation services contract, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes, and we're going down the road with Plant Moran and Mr. Heron. Our last action item is our Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week proclamation. Is there a motion, please, on page 35?
I would be glad to offer that motion.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. President, I offer the following motion that the Board of Education approve the Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week proclamation as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Very good. And we need a volunteer to read this.
I'll be happy to read.
Thank you very much.
Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week proclamation. Whereas a strong, effective, free public education for all children is critical to our democracy at the national, state, and local level. And whereas a strong public school system makes for a strong community. And whereas the vision of Portage Public Schools is to be an exceptional, continuously improving learning culture with high expectations committed to all. And whereas the commitment Portage Public Schools, teachers, and staff show to students by inspiring them to succeed academically, artistically, socially, and athletically is essential to making the vision a reality. Therefore, the Board of Education of Portage Public Schools does hereby proclaim May 2nd to 6th, 2022 as Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week in the Portage Public School District, and encourages all citizens to congratulate our educators for the work they do daily to develop students today and mold successful citizens who will have a positive influence on our community tomorrow. Adopted this 11th day of April, 2022, Portage Public Schools Board of Education.
Thank you, Terry. Is there any discussion?
Only that it's really a year-long thing, not just a week of appreciation. Having my final child graduate from Portage schools, there's a lot of great staff members that have engaged my kids on all levels to succeed, and I'm just thankful. And this Teacher Staff Appreciation Week, but this is a year-long thing, so thanks to everybody.
Thank you, Rusty.
And Randy, maybe to put a couple of extra exclamation points behind it this year, with this year and last year. It was a journey, and these are great people under normal circumstances, and they have risen to the challenge, and we're incredibly thankful.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Our teachers, our staff members here are a real treasure for our students, our parents, and our community. And we're so lucky that we have the staff that we do, and the board is very appreciative for all you do. Anything else? Okay, all those in favor of approving the Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week proclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. The proclamation is approved. We've reached the end of our agenda, and we are adjourned. Thank you.